This was a complex and challenging investigation involving a number of specialist officers and staff from Police Scotland and the Scottish Police Authority who worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to Mr. Lee's murder. A team of 31 officers from Police Scotland's major investigation team, local policing divisions and specialist search colleagues were involved in the 3-month investigation. Detectives examined 2,400 hours of CCTV footage, captured around 1,000 statements, visited around 500 properties as part of extensive inquiries to establish what happened and who was responsible for Mr. Lowe's death. Expert witnesses in ballistics, biology, chemistry and cybercrime also played a crucial role in building evidence in this case against David Campbell. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge that our initial response to this tragic incident fell short of what Police Scotland and the public rightly expects. We have reflected and we have learned from what happened. This learning included a complete review of policies and procedures around attendance at unexplained deaths, as we take steps to try and prevent something like this happening again. Our thoughts today are very much with Mr. Lowe's family, and I would welcome the opportunity to apologise to them personally for our initial response to the death. They have described Brian as a much-loved partner, grandfather, brother and uncle, who will be very much missed by all who knew him. They acknowledge the conviction at court today and have asked that their privacy is respected as they continue to process and plead. Violent crimes are extremely rare in the Aberfeldy area, and I know this incident caused shock and fear in the community. I want to thank all those living locally for their patience and support throughout our investigation, which saw extensive police activity for a long period of time in what is a quiet tourist town. Your information was vital in helping trace the person responsible. Thank you.
Officer, you said there that the investigation fell short of expected standards. That is a huge understatement, isn't it? This was a monumental shambles.
We acknowledge the initial response isn't, to the standard that we would expect from Police Scotland or indeed what the public would expect, and we've taken steps to learn from that. Like I said, we've reviewed policies and procedures, particularly around attendance, unexplained deaths.
How though can you train someone not to spot a gunshot wound? Is that not basic?
Yeah, like I say, we acknowledge there was failings at the beginning of this, at the beginning of the investigation during that initial period, and we've acknowledged that and we've apologised for that. And again, just reiterate again, we have taken that opportunity. I personally have taken that opportunity to apologise to the family personally in relation to that.
Given the police failings initially, how close did David Campbell come to getting Luke murdered?
Well, again, we've acknowledged that there was that period of time over a 5-day period that things most definitely could have been better. However, we conducted a thorough and professional investigation throughout over a 14-week period. Where, like I said there, we captured about 1,000 statements, extensively reviewed CCTV, interviewed a number of witnesses, and we've got this conviction at court today, and that's I take a positive from that.
Has anyone lost their job or been reprimanded for this?
The initial set of circumstances would have been referred to the park, and that's severe remiss of me to comment on that, but it's been referred to the park for consideration.
Someone should lose their job over this.
What confidence can families in rural Scotland have in Police Scotland that you will properly investigate a death like this in the future?
I think that reassurance, the professional and thorough investigation that was conducted by my team.
Some would argue there wasn't a professional and thorough investigation carried out here.
I mean, I've acknowledged the initial failings the first few days of the investigation, but we know that they weren't of the standard that we would expect.
Are you ashamed of what's happened here?
I've personally apologised to the family, and again, I'll extend that apology again. It was unacceptable, and we move on. I take comfort today in the conviction of David Campbell.
If this happened
in robust procedures in place now, what are those robust procedures?
We've reviewed our policies and procedure, particularly around attendance at deaths, unexplained deaths, deaths outdoors. We'll take learning from it, and we'll do anything we can to prevent that happening again.
David Campbell seemed to think that he was clever. He seemed to go to great lengths to cover his tracks. You gave him a bit of a head start on that. If he executed his plan better, he could be free just now. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't. It's I keep saying we've conducted what I most definitely say a professional, thorough investigation. We've had a number of experts, like I've said, ballistics, biology, chemists. It's not just police officers, police staff as well. Everybody works together to get to the result we reached today.
Has the family accepted the apology you gave them?
I believe I have, yes.
If this happened in any other line of work, in the private sector, someone would lose their job immediately. It's basic. Do you believe, as the senior officer here standing in front of us answering these questions, that someone should lose their job as a result of this? To be seen to be accountable here?
Certainly accountable, but I believe in learning. Learning has been delivered. Like I've said, hurt have reviewed circumstances. I can't comment on that side of things, but it's learning. We've reflected upon it and we've moved on.
He said the officer who found the man body to be non-suspicious, does he still have your confidence, the officer?
Sorry?
The officer, does he still have your confidence after a blunder of this magnitude?
The officer...
Detective Chance, I think.
I think the officer were concerned with evidence in court. I think he's reflective of his performance on the day. And
does he have your confidence? I mean, he found the man with serious wounds. He took a photograph of it, sent it into following procedure, and both he and others, I presume, went, yes, this blood-covered affairs is consistent with the fall, only to later find shotgun pellets. Does he have your confidence?
I say the initial set of circumstances weren't of the standard that I would expect and what the public expect and what Scotland expect.
I mean, a lot of people point out there that you've not said he does have confidence. You do have confidence in him.
We've got to, it's a learning culture, and I'm sure Constable Chance has taken the learning on board and will move on from this.
Has there been an internal investigation into Officer Chance's comment?
Again, I can't comment on that. The initial set of circumstances involving that I've referred to the court for consideration.
Now that he's been convicted, how would you sum him up as a person?
Mr. Campbell. Cold, calculating, malicious, probably all negative words to be perfectly fair. And I'm thinking back to the impact on the family. This has been absolutely horrendous for that family. It's 2 years and we've really got to think of them right now. And extend my warmest sympathies to them tonight, and it's horrendous.
Just on that point, there was mentioning for, I think it was Ms. Carroll in the evidence, there was some criticism of how they were told about the death. You were talking about procedures being reviewed. Has how people are told about deaths also been reviewed? Because I think one of the criticisms was that the teenage granddaughter was told before she was, and she didn't seem too happy about that. Is that changing or to be changed, or is that just someone who didn't follow the procedure that they should have done?
Again, it's one of those things, it's probably not been dealt with well, and I acknowledge that. And again, I've spoken to Ms. Curran, and she's aware of that, and we personally apologised on behalf of both myself and the Police Scotland that things could have been done better on that initial day, absolutely.
Has Police Scotland done anything well in this case?
Well, we've got a conviction today. We've got
A lot
a
of people would
verdict.
interpret that.
Pardon?
Why? You might not have got a conviction based on the evidence. A lot of it was circumstantial.
It was a circumstantial case, but it was a very good circumstantial case, and there's a lot of good work, and we've got to acknowledge the good work that's going in. We focus a lot on negatives, but let's focus on the positives as well. All the work that went in, the team over a 3-month period, 14-week period, all the work that went in, not just from the detectives, but from the specialists as well within Police Scotland and SPA.
Blunders in this case among the most embarrassing approaches have been real.
Couldn't comment on that. I've said the initial response wasn't to the standard that we would expect, but I couldn't comment any further on other instances.
Finally, was it quite difficult? I imagine Ms. Curran was pretty devastated with the initial response. Can you talk about the work that, it must have been hard to build a relationship with her to get confidence? And today, obviously, she does have confidence in the police because she stood beside you. How difficult was that to get her on side and things like that? Can you talk about that? Or is that...
Well, we deployed a family liaison officer to Ms. Curran and her family. They built up that positive. I met her twice myself, and I sat and spoke to her. She knows the initial response was not to the standard we would expect. I've apologised to her. I've sat with her and I've explained everything through with her, and she's very accepting of that and very gracious and humble as well. I'm thankful. Thank you.
That's fine. Cheers.
Yes, I did.
I'll send it.
Yeah, that's right. Answering questions for the first time since this investigation, since the arrest of David Campbell.